Hello everyone, I hope you're doing fantastic. Today we are going to do something slightly different. It's December, and if you're in the northern hemisphere, it's getting cold and dark and the holiday time is coming. So when I was out shopping recently, I saw this very cool pattern as a printout on a box, and I found it really interesting and it looked super convincing, even though it was a print and it wasn't an actual sweater. And also, given the structure of this pattern, I thought it would be a nice exercise to try and recreate that here in Figma. So this is the final result. This is what we are creating today. And if you'd like to download the source file for this and maybe use it in some of your client work, or you want to use this pattern in your own project, make sure to check the link in the description. And now let's get started. So we are going to start by creating one single unit of this quite complex pattern. So to do that, I'm going to select the frame tool, click once and adjust the size of this frame to 10 by 10, right? So we're gonna create a frame that is 10 by 10. Let me zoom in and we will rename this frame a pattern element. And this pattern element is going to be a component, of course. What I'm going to do next is use an ellipse tool by pressing O and then clicking once. And of course, I'm gonna bring the size down to about 10 by 10 and then make it around 4 by 10, after which I will actually extend this vertically to about 4 by 14, let's say, something like that. Rotate that by 15 degrees and then I'm gonna position that right here. I will also select the pattern element and uncheck clip content so that we can see actually this ellipse popping out of the frame, right? So when I change the color, you can see that we get this, basically you're able to see it beyond the edges of this frame. Then I will duplicate this, flip the second ellipse by pressing Shift H, and I will position that somewhere around here. I will also make sure that these are positioned symmetrically, which means I will align them to the right edge by pressing Command D, this one to the left edge by pressing, that's Option D and Option A, right? So that they are aligned with this left and right edge respectively. And then I'm gonna move that by 1 pixel and 1 pixel, right? So we get approximately this. I think this is good for now. We will need two variants of this pattern element. We will get a white and red one. So this could be, for example, the white one, and this will be the red one. And I think I'm gonna play around a bit with the sizes of these shapes. So let me actually change the height to 13, maybe, and 13 here as well. We will need to play with alignment again. So that would mean like this. Yeah, this is going to be a bit of a challenge because we will have to work with fractional pixels. So that will be minus 0.1. for example, or 0.2 maybe. Here we will put 0.2, something like that, approximately. The good thing is we can also, given the structure that we are about to set up, we can always change this later. So let me copy this from here and paste that here, right? So I selected these ellipses, copied and pasted them right here. Good. What I'm going to do now is change the color from black to white, actually. This is a white and red pattern, and with these I'm gonna change them to red. So it will be not completely dark red, but also not completely contrasting like this. So I would say something in between. And also I'm gonna set the background of these two black with partial visibility. I'm going to play around with the transparency. And then what I'm going to do now is actually use an instance of this component that we have created, and I'm going to test how the shape actually looks, right? How the pattern is coming together. So let me use this one instance of this component, and let me duplicate this multiple times so that we get multiple pattern elements next to each other, so that we can get some basic idea of how it interacts together, right? So perfect. So what you can see here is that I basically want to make sure that these shapes do not overlap, right? So I want to make some space between these shapes, while also I think the spacing between, for example, these two shapes, they are all right. So I'm going to keep that, but let me actually take these two and then with both of these selected, let me reduce the height of both of these together. I think we want to achieve something like this, right? So again, I want to make sure that these shapes do not overlap when working with this pattern. I just want to make sure that it looks as separate units, while at the same time it looks intertwined a bit. Can kind of see these shapes overlapping over here and these shapes overlapping on the top one. You get the point, right? So I think this is good enough. Which also means we're going to have to update the second variant, where I will remove these shapes from. So I will select this variant, press enter, and then delete this. And at the same time, I'm going to select the shapes from the first variant, copy and paste them here. And of course, I need to change the color again because I removed those elements, which was not a good strategy. All right, what needs to happen now is this. I basically identified two types of patterns. We have one smaller pattern and one bigger pattern, and the smaller one is 8 by 30. Now that I think about it, it's actually not that much smaller. So let me write this down. We have two patterns. We have 8 by 30, right? 8 by 30. And then we have 20 by 21, right? So these are the two types of patterns that we will work with, which means what exactly? That means I'm gonna have to prepare a grid of 8 by 30 from these instances, and then 20 by 21 from the same instances, right? So let me do that. We have 4 by 3, right? So this means I'm going to duplicate this, and we have 8 by 3, right? 8 by 3. And now we need to actually take this and duplicate this 10 times vertically, which means that's 8 by 6. This is 8 by 12, right? If I'm counting correctly, 8 by 12. And when I duplicate this again, it's 8 by 24, which means only 6 remain. I'm gonna select 6 rows, and that would be 8 by 30. So theoretically, all of this should be 80 by 300. 80 by 300, good. Now, watch this. As I change the component right here, let me actually do this. When I change the component right here, right, I change the color of the right piece of fabric, right? You can see it's changing absolutely everywhere. It's changing everywhere. So that is the key thing about this pattern. If we change one thing here, it's gonna update everywhere. That's why I chose this structure. So we have 8 by 30, and then we're gonna have to create another one that will be 20 by 21. So let me actually borrow a bit of these patterns from here. This is 8, this is 16, and we need 4 more, which means duplicating the last 4, and we get 200, which means 20, right? 20 by 21, we're gonna have to do quite a bit of duplicating. So that's 20 by 3, this is 20 by 3, this is 20 by 6, and this will be 20 by 12. And when we duplicate this whole thing, it will be 20 by 24. And we're just gonna remove 3 rows, right? So this should be 200 by 210, which it is. Perfect. So we have, the basic outline, the basic structure of these two types of patterns prepared. Now we actually need to start filling in this pattern. Now this will get a bit mechanical, so if you will be bored, please feel free to skip ahead. But anyway, if you want to create with me, just bear with me here. What we need to do now is select all of these and change their element property 1 to red, right? So all of these are now red. And then we need to take 5 of these from the bottom left and change those to white. Then we need to take these 3, right, and change these to white. Then you want to choose 2 and 2 like this, right? Then what you want to do again is something similar we did here, which is selecting these 3 and then white. And then what we want to do is select 5 of these and do something that we did here. And you can probably guess where I'm going with this. I'm gonna now repeat this pattern right here, which means I'm gonna select these 3 and then white. I'm gonna select these 2 and these 2 and also white. And then finally select these 3 and again white. So if we now repeat this whole pattern, if we kind of duplicated this, you will see that we get a repeating pattern like this, right? And now imagine this going indefinitely. That's the bottom part of this pattern. Then as we continue upwards, we want to leave this one blank, and then one above that we want to make white. Then 2 above that we want to keep red, and above that we want to go for white, right? So this is kind of what we are getting. Then this is going to be very simple. Take this whole row and make that one white, right? And what we want to do here is select this one and this one and then this one and change that to white. So we want to go like this, zigzag, zigzag. Let me select these again and go to white, right? So we want to create this, right? I hope this is easy to follow. It's gonna get a bit more complicated down the road, so feel free to skip back and watch some parts again if you didn't understand. Here we want to select this one and then this one and then this one and go for white. Right? So that's what we want to select. Then we want to make kind of this pattern right here go upwards and to the right. So we want to do this, right? And then let's just extrapolate so that we get 5 in total. That's 3, right? And we have 4. Finally, we have 5, right? So we get these 3 ascending lines essentially. Then we want to again start descending like this. Again, white, and again here, white. And again, if we stacked these, if we repeated this whole thing, you'll see kind of this pattern going zigzag, right? So this is repeating, this as well. And as we continue upwards, here we want to stay on the left side. You want to leave 3 of these blank or red, and then select these 2 and then this one and make that white, right? So you get this arrow shaped kind of this triangle of 3 pattern elements. And then you want to leave again 3 of these blank, and you want to change the next one to white, and then again leave 3 blank, and finally turn that one to white, right? And then for at this top side of these 3 lines of these stripes, you want to again leave 3 blank, and then the 4th one you want to change that to white, leave 3 blank, 4 to white, and then leave 3 blank. And finally you want to select this one, turn that to white, and then you want to keep all of these red. So this means we are done with the 8 by 30 pattern. This pattern is now finished, and we can move on to the next pattern. I want to select all of these and move them over here so that we have enough space to maneuver. And again, with all these pattern elements, you want to select all of these and change them to red, right? So all of these change to red, right? They are red now. Brilliant. And you want to go for the middle one, which is this one, I believe. You can ignore this one. You want to go for the middle one, and then the one above and one below, along with the middle one, these are going to be white, right? And then you want to select this one towards the right side of the middle one and change that one to white as well. And then what you want to do is go all the way to the top, and then here select this one, this one, this one, and this one, and change those to white. So you get a line that is diagonal coming from top left to bottom right and is 4 units long, right? And then what you want to do is select this one and change that to white as well. So you get this kind of shape, right? Looks as a diagonal cross. And then what you want to do is actually select kind of from this bottom one, you want to leave these blank, these are going to be blank, and then the one below that, you want to select this one, this one, this one, and this one, and then additionally this one, and change all of these to white. I know The way I'm describing the position of these elements is, I believe, not very easy to follow, so let's just watch the screen and you don't even have to listen to me because I'm not sure I'm helping. But anyway, then I want to select these 5 and change them to white. And what I'm attempting to do here is create this kind of shape, right? This shape right here. And then one final more. So that's what I'm kind of getting at, right? Then you want to leave this one blank and you want to kind of repeat, you want to make this symmetrical across this middle line, right? So you want to create this shape right here like this. So let me actually select these 5, change them to white, then these 5, change them to white as well. Again, these 5 and these 5 and white. And then what you want to do is select this one, right? Kind of at the point of this arrow, at the top of this arrow, and then select this one, and this one, and that will be white as well. Next thing I'm gonna do is select then this one, this one, this one, and this one, and this one, and again change them to white. So that's these below the left edge, the left point of this star in the middle, and then again select these 5 white, these 5 again white. So we get this kind of symmetrical arrow here and here, kind of, right? Then I'm gonna select these on the top right here, so that will be from this one to blank and then a white one, and 5 towards the bottom are gonna be white as well right here, and then again these 5, and continue until you get right here. And then what we want to do is create this cross that we have right here. We want to do that here. So this one and this one, and then these 4. We want to select those and then white, right? And now, because we are lazy, we are looking for the most efficient way to accomplish things, I'm going to take this pattern that we have created right here, duplicate that and flip it to the right side, so that we don't have to fill in the right side the similar way we did here. So let me select actually the left side, except for the leftmost column. So I'm gonna do this. I will then press Alt and drag this over here. Right, so we duplicated that. I'm gonna select this whole group of pattern elements and press Shift H, and voila, we have flipped those to the right side. Then what we're gonna do is actually align them with the left side of the rightmost column. So we wanna do this kind of, right? We wanna do this, align it like this over here. And sorry for that, I think we have to move that another unit towards the right. So I think yes, that this should be correct, right? We should get the middle one should be here, right? Yeah, that sounds about right. Now what I'm going to do here is remove the 2 leftmost from this, or just 1 leftmost column from this group of units. Remove this one, and then what I'm gonna do is remove all these columns where they will overlap with this group, right? So right here, select all these and remove that. And then finally, we can take this group and move it over here like this to finalize nicely this second pattern. That would be the second pattern. And now again, because we need to create this pattern once again, but flipped upside down, we encounter one problem. And that is, if we duplicate this and then simply flip it, you can see what's happening, right? You can see that all of these are now in the different direction. This is pointing downwards and these are pointing upwards. How do we fix that? Well, again, we are looking for the most efficient way to do things, and therefore we are going to modify this on the pattern element level. We will duplicate these two. This one is going to be white. We get an alert that this is conflicting values. This one is going to be red, but we will add a property, and we are going to select this whole component. Then under properties, we're going to go for variant property, and this variant property is going to be called vertically flipped, and we're going to have values no, and then we're going to also have values yes, and this one is going to be vertically flipped yes, right? And this is also going to be vertically flipped yes. And as you can see, the alert has disappeared. Next thing we're going to do is select this variant, select these elements within, and flip them by pressing Shift V. Again, something similar here. Press Enter and flip them by pressing Shift V. And what we will do now, select all of these units and then check vertically flipped. Boom. And all of these are now corrected and they are vertically flipped. That's because we have rotated the instances and then we have prepared another variant of the instance that is again flipped. If you flip it vertically and then you flip it again, you get to the original position, right? So that's how we managed to create this workaround. And now let me group this, select all of these and group. And I will also rename this group to pattern 1 top, then group all of these and name this pattern 1 bottom, and then finally select this pattern right here, group that and rename that pattern 2. And let me actually take this pattern 2, then duplicate that and then Command D to duplicate that again, and you can see how nicely this is actually repeating, how we are getting a nice sweater pattern. Let me duplicate that again, and we have to move that again, sorry. While at the same time, I'm gonna move this, let me remove this guide. I'm gonna move this top pattern 1 over here. I'm gonna make sure it snaps right here. So let's do this. Brilliant. And then let's do this over here again. Perfect. Let me again take these two and watch as we create a new pattern that repeats again. With a bit of strategy, you're able to set up a pattern that is then repeating itself again. So let me actually duplicate this. Let me actually do this. Let me duplicate these 3 and then again, and then I'm going to select all of these and press Option Control T. Brilliant. And then I'm going to do something similar here. Duplicate again. You can hear my computer struggling right now. I bet he's fighting for his life. Option Control T, and then probably we will put in here one more. Look how nicely, wow, I didn't expect that to align so nicely. That is really nice. But of course, if we go up enough, we will find kind of a number that has both common denominators 8 and 20. So I think we have arrived at 80, right? Is that possible? Yes, 80. And then finally, what we're going to do, we're going to select all of this, press Command Option G to create a frame from this. We're going to rename this frame Christmas Weather Pattern, and then I'm gonna move that somewhere around here. And now we need to also finally remove the background from these. As you can see, we don't want to get this gray color on the background, right? We want to remove this, so remove the fill. All of these update eventually. It takes a while. I mean, it's a lot of instances, right? This is really a lot of instances. And then we want to go again to this frame and then press fill. And under fill, I will go for a really dark red, complete this pattern, right? So something like this. Maybe with this, we want to make this lighter, maybe. If we want to get really fancy, we can try and do some gradients on these units. Let's see if my computer can handle that. So let me actually add one fill. You can see how it immediately updates, right? It starts to update right here. Or I think we could actually enable inner shadows, but I'm not sure this is going to end well, just because of the sheer number of iteration this needs to happen for. But it looks as if Figma is handling this with grace. I'm gonna go for minus here and minus here, and then maybe duplicate this inner shadow. And this one will be white and coming from the top left like this. Maybe we want to make a blur. So let's go for a blur of 1 pixel on each of these effects to create a nice plastic looking piece of fabric, 3D looking piece of fabric, more like. So let me select these shadows, Command C, Command V here, and then also here, of course, and also additionally here, right? So we get this, basically. We get this. Yeah, I think this is actually looking quite convincing. I mean, if you zoom in, This actually looks as pieces of fabric. So yeah, I'm quite happy with the result. Maybe we want to turn off the pixel grid. Let me turn off the pixel grid and zoom in. Yeah, I think this looks quite nice. So yeah, that is how you create a Christmas sweater pattern in Figma using components and instances. I bet you didn't expect this kind of tutorial from my channel right now, but I thought it would be a nice way to say Merry Christmas if you're celebrating. So I hope you'll be able to enjoy your holiday. Again, if you celebrate, videos are still going to be coming out during holidays, but don't worry, I will be able to take some rest because I have filmed enough videos in advance to be able to relax, and I will see you in the new year with new videos and hopefully some fresh ideas. I also wanted to say thank you to those that have been here on my channel and that have supported me. We have recently hit 3,000 subscribers, which is absolutely incredible, and I just hope I'll be able to reach even more people to help with their Figma projects. Not only Figma projects, but to spread the word about design, about Figma, and about improving your creative skills. So thank you for watching my channel in 2022. Thanks for tuning in for this video, and I will see you in the next one.